Thank you for arranging this, Mary.
I can't tell you how much it means to me.
There's no need to be nervous. Father's going to love your work.
Mary, there you are. Hello, darling.
Father.
Dr. Jekyll. Now, what's so important? I had pulled away from scotch and cards at the academy.
Allow me to show you. Right over here. This serum, once perfected, will be capable of separating a man's personality in two, dividing the higher, more noble aspects of his nature from the primitive beast of which every man is born.
Intriguing.
Imagine if man were in control of the beast within, rather than slave to it.
How can you be certain your serum wouldn't make things worse?
It can't get any worse for Henry's patients. There's no hope at all.
Dr. Lydgate, if I had the Scientific Academy behind my work...
So that's what this is about. You want me to grant you membership to the Academy? Well, I'm afraid I can't offer it. Your work is dangerous. Good evening, Dr. Jekyll. Come, Mary.
I'm sorry, Henry.
Looks like someone's lost control of the inner beast.
So we all knew from the trailer for this episode that it's going to be focused on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is fantastic because more Sam Witwer on the show, the better. I love Sam Witwer as Hyde. I think he's fantastic. I think the character of Hyde is amazing, and I cannot wait to see where the show is going to go with him. But Hank Harris hasn't had the opportunity to shine as Dr. Jekyll. So this episode will essentially allow us to get to know Hank Harris as an actor and also get to know the character of Jekyll just a little bit more. Now, from the trailer for the episode, I thought Dr. Jekyll was going to be going in just a little bit of a different route, and I didn't expect him to be working with Dr. Lydgate. So allow me just to briefly give you my initial analysis, because we have to remember that before Jekyll and Hyde completely separated, that Jekyll and Hyde were once the same person, and Hyde would take over due to the formula that Jekyll makes. Now, from the trailer, I expected Dr. Jekyll, and by the way, if I confuse the names here, I'm very sorry. There's just so many names to go with, especially with Doctor. So I expected Dr. Jekyll to be a very weak and timid man, even more so than he already is, because in the present he seems relatively assertive. So I essentially expected him to have no confidence, no backbone, and I did not expect him to be working with Dr. Lydgate. In fact, I expected him to be, kind of like a mad scientist, but a mad scientist on his own, not an assistant to a scientist. I really kind of expected like that one twist to kind of have him be essentially like a cellar dweller type person, where he's just working on these weird experiments and he has a crush on maybe his neighbor of some caliber. And then Rumple comes in because Rumple sees the potential, he sees the science, because Rumple appreciates science, as we saw in the Doctor episode. And then Rumple is able to allow Dr. Jekyll to gain confidence by the use of the potion, but the potion has major side effects because now it's blending science and magic. And then, Jekyll and Hyde are going to essentially fight for control. So that's kind of how I thought it was going to be going, but the sneak peek proved it otherwise, where now Dr. Jekyll is going to be working with Dr. Lydgate and is still working on the formula, and there's still a possibility of the deal, but it looks like it's just going to be brought to light in a different fashion, which is fine, but I was really gung-ho about my idea for a couple of days. So Dr. Lydgate doesn't like Jekyll here, and I have to say, I am totally okay with Dr. Lydgate not liking Dr. Jekyll's idea for the formula because it's just way too dangerous. And we already know that the consequence from having already seen the present, that the consequences of his formula are intensive, and Dr. Lydgate was essentially correct. So I'm really curious to see what the deal between Rumple and Dr. Jekyll will be, and also to see a little bit more interaction between Lydgate and Dr. Jekyll too. Now, it looks like, I guess I was sort of right about the crush because apparently Dr. Jekyll has a light crush on Mary Lydgate, which I think is really interesting as well. Now, I don't know too much about Dr. Lydgate, or Lydgate. I'm very sorry if I'm confusing the pronunciation of the name, but I don't know too much about his character. I know that he was essentially trying to convince Alice that she was crazy during Once Upon a Time Wonderland, but beyond that, I don't know, because I just lost touch with Wonderland. I didn't think it was that entertaining, so I didn't stick with it. Which, as a oncer, I know was kind of a shame, but it wasn't a show for me. In fact, if I had to see a Once Upon a Time spin-off, I would rather see a Queens of Darkness spin-off, or even like an Underworld joke spin-off, or a Once Upon a Time Frozen. I think a Frozen spin-off would be fantastic. So I'm really curious to see Dr. Lydgate get more of a role, and I'm wondering, if he'll be in Storybrooke. Where is he? Because, again, I don't know much about Once Upon a Time Wonderland. I don't know what happened with him, and I'm really curious to see if he's alive and what's going to be going on with him. A lot of you probably already know this and are typing furiously down below telling me the whole story about him, which is great. I like when you guys are able to inform me, so that way I know when I watch the episodes. It's fantastic. So overall, I have to say I'm enjoying where it's going, and I like that Dr. Lydgate doesn't appreciate Jekyll's experience because, as I said, they're not a very smart idea because they only cause bad consequences for those involved with them. So I'm really curious what you guys have to say about the sneak peek. What do you think about Jekyll making the formula? I guess we actually never really got into the idea of controlling the inner darkness. We've always kind of dabbled with it a little bit, but here Jekyll is essentially allowing control of that inner darkness. But I think that control is self-control, and to essentially gain control through science is a very interesting idea. I like where the show is kind of going with it, and I'm really curious to see how that will play out. It's like a very interesting philosophical idea. Maybe I'm analyzing it a bit too much here, but we've always had the characters struggle with their inner darkness. Emma, Regina, Rumpel. Rumpel's kind of the loser there. Emma and Regina are definitely more of the successors because they go towards the side of good. But here Jekyll's just talking about how everyone has an inner demon, and this formula will allow you to control it. But clearly Rumpel is going to manipulate it, more or less. I could be wrong. But somehow it's going to be manipulated where you not only don't have control, they control you. So again, what do you guys think about the sneak peek? Are you excited to see Hank Harris get more work on Once Upon a Time? I know he's essentially a guest star at the moment, but I haven't really seen him in anything, so I'm curious to, again, see him as an actor. I'm curious to see more of Dr. Lydgate, and also for the episode in general, I'm very excited to see Mr. Hyde. So again, share your thoughts about the sneak peek in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking out my review of it. And also, I know I change up formats when I do the reviews. Like sometimes I set up like the way this video is set up. Sometimes I don't even bother to throw images. What do you guys like? I try to keep it different, keep it fun, and I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say for what you guys could give me feedback on. What would you appreciate? What would you like to see more of? What type of style? I'm definitely going to be doing full trailer and review videos, etc., etc. But do you prefer it like this, where you can see Storybrooke and some images, or where you just see the wall? Please share your thoughts. I would appreciate that. All right, so we are all done here. Share your thoughts, and we'll talk later. Bye.